I'm Tamara Thomas, editor-in-chief of UrbanHealthToday.com, part of the DocWire family of medical news sites, and I want to thank you for tuning in to Urban Health Weekly. Our goal each week is to keep you informed of the latest in health and medical news right from today's headlines. It's time to empower yourself with open conversations about your medical care with news that matters to you. So are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, I'm Tamara Thomas, and welcome to Urban Health Weekly, where we talk about medical news and health topics that matter to you. So I'm here with Jackie and Lou. How are you guys?
Very good. How are you guys?
I'm all right.
Oh my God. So somebody has like a little bit of it. Anyway, I'm fine.
That doesn't sound good.
No, because he's off air. He just had a little tizzy whatever thing, and I'm sure he'll let you know what his beef is today. But it's always something that I did to him, and then he gets like all tizzied up. Let me tell you, you guys don't realize what a Devo he is. He is a full-on Devo. You hear what I'm saying?
Really? Really?
I'm renegotiating.
I want to hear.
By the word.
He is a straight up Devo.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's the season or what.
Is there a season to be a Devo?
I think summertime he gets like real Devo-ish. And it's just like out of control, the amount of diva. He's just Devo. Excuse me. Make
That's
sure
right.
the Devo he's serving up.
Talent needs to be fed.
But I just want to say like two quick things. I'm just coming off a nasty case of COVID. If you want me to say that. So we don't have like a show today because I didn't, I was laid up. I didn't, I wasn't exactly looking at news and reading news and stuff today. I was just like with my eyes closed most of the time. And I didn't even have my voice. But there are two topics on my mind that we have to talk about this week. So we're going to try something different today. And we're just going to talk about two topics, this COVID BA.5 variant and monkeypox. Now, Mr. Devo, would you like to get off your chest what is bothering you today, sir?
It'll come out during the show. It'll come out slowly. It's not going to come out at the beginning of the show.
Because it really clearly came out when I asked how everyone was doing. You were like fit to be like ready to like for lights, camera, action.
I'm doing fine. Just
okay.
I will only say it really was uninteresting. It just had to do with mic checks and me wanting to sound better than everybody else and all of this. And I get it. That and if you want to get into it, but I will again.
Go ahead, get into it.
All right, I will again.
Get into it.
The COVID really took your voice.
Yeah.
This COVID had different symptoms than others. We had a show that was in doubt. I was asked to go it alone, or some version of that.
Yes.
I said, without you, it's impossible.
No,
I thought that was a compliment.
No, that's
chicken. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible.
I didn't call you a chicken.
It was horrible. If we were having a mental health show, I would just be saying that my confidence has been shattered. But
if you're gonna tell us, at least tell it's true. I did ask if he would be willing to do the show with you, Jackie, being that my voice was in doubt this week. And I figured he's a talker. You guys can talk and do a show without me. And he just was like, no. And I was like, why not? He's like, because I don't want to.
Right.
But why not? Like, that's not a legitimate reason not to do it. Is it that you feel like you can't do it? Well, no, because I can talk if I want to. I can talk all the time and I'm great at talking. And he's like going on about how wonderful he is and what
he is a good talker.
It's true, but like he went on about it like ad nauseum. But at the end of the day, you're such a great talker, but you can't just carry the show, you and Jackie, for like one week.
This isn't like Letterman where if he's out, then Jay Leno takes over. This is kind of like, I felt like it takes us all to be here. And
now he's trying to spin it and try to make it sound like, oh, we can't do it without you. But that's not what he was saying when I asked.
That's not what he was saying? I thought that's what he's saying. It's not what he's saying?
No, that wasn't what he was saying when I originally asked him. He said now, but that's not what he was saying when I asked him. He was just like,
okay.
I don't want to do it. No, I just don't feel like doing it.
I think
Okay.
that's the answer that we got after, like, I was asked 700 times.
Yeah, because he didn't give me the
Yeah, at first I explained it, and then like after 800 times, it was just like, nope, no. But you know what? Magically, the voice came back, and
Wait, you made her drag herself out of her sick bed, the poor thing, and now she's doing the same.
Oh, that's nothing. I had a meeting this week, and I was in the meeting like, hello.
Oh gosh, she does it to herself.
but it was great because she was doing that. I'm telling you, the entire meeting just stopped and focused on every word she was saying.
Every word had extra
like
poignancy.
like a deathbed confession or something.
Oh my God.
Everyone leaned in closer. Like
they did. It was a Zoom call.
The power of the rest.
It wasn't a Zoom call. It was Teams. It was a Teams call. Yeah. But you did see everyone like leaning closer. But that's because I wanted to make sure everyone could hear me, because like my voice was like, I was non-existent. So I was like basically whisper talking because I had no voice, because the BA.5 variant took my voice.
It is true. It takes your voice. I will also say that, during the week, I was sending her articles on sportscasters who've lost their voice and different types of honey.
Because of BA.5?
No, just in general, when people what they do, and they use Manuka honey, which I have. I have Manuka honey. But, I don't use it very often, because something like this, it's got to run its course. It's, it was already gone. Like if I'd started it the day that I broke out in a 103.5 fever, then maybe I would have been able.
That's a beast of a fever.
That's
a get into the ice bath. That's an ice bath fever. Cold compresses.
You're saying that's the kind of fever that little kids get. Yeah.
Yes.
And then she did get her voice. I will share another one of our arguments about doing a show after COVID.
Yeah.
She did get her voice, and we're having a call or whatever. We were having a conversation, and her voice was fine, but we all knew that it wasn't going to last for long. And then they're like, well, why are we having an argument? Why don't you just save your words for the show? And it gave me like a 20-minute dissertation on like, why am I being stubborn and all of this. I said, save your words, don't say anything. And she had to get it off her chest.
And I had a hell of a coughing fit afterward, but yes, I had to say what was on my mind. It
20 minutes of great diction, completely wasted.
She's a spitfire. Yes.
Okay. Exactly. I had to say what was on my mind.
Anyway, tell us about your journey.
Wow. Okay. So Friday I had like garden variety, very mild, like beginnings of like a scratchy throat kind of thing, not like a full on like, oh, my throat hurts, I better. It was like the beginnings. And I did, I don't talk about it, but I do this protocol that is not approved by doctors, but I do it because it has kept me healthy. And I'm going to say the reason that I believe that I got this very virulent strain of the COVID is because people my age, people under 50, are not allowed to get the booster. So I'm pretty pissed about that. But I did my protocol with it's the nebulizer with the hydrogen peroxide, food grade hydrogen peroxide, and sea salt water, distilled water. And I do this whole thing, and I'm not going to get into details and measurements and all that, but I do it for, a certain amount of time every day when I go out, just to give it as a stopgap measure to make sure, any pathogens got into my nasal cavities and passages, to just wipe it out. And so I did that. And then I was, like I felt the scratchy, and I was like, ooh, I better have some sea salt and hydrogen peroxide, 3%. And I gargled it in, some water. And I did that before bed, and I thought I would have been fine because I really only had like a little bit of a scratchy, like nothing to write home about. When that usually works, like I usually gargle and then I wake up the next day, I'm fine. The next day, my daughter came into my room and she asked me a question and I couldn't even speak. I was like, I don't think I could go anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, holy hell, what am I going to do? And I even then I felt like I was just shocked that I didn't have a voice because I didn't feel like anything was wrong with me, particularly at that moment. But then like, as the morning progressed, all of a sudden I start feeling like something's not right. I feel like, you ever see those kung fu movies where people get like 2 kicks in their back?
Yeah, they like bounce off the other person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that I've ever experienced that, but that's what it kind of felt like. My back all of a sudden felt like I got kicked in my back. I was like, whoa, my back hurts. And then it was like, can't, like this cascade of symptoms all of a sudden. So all of a sudden I started feeling really lousy. So then I took my temperature and I was stunned to see that it was 103.5. Stunned.
Wow. I can't believe you were still walking around with the fever.
I know.
Like
so immediately what I did was I grabbed some bottles of water. I went and changed out of my nightie, put on pajamas. Now remember that Saturday was wicked hot. I put on pajamas, Jackie.
What?
And then
wait. Were you having chills?
Oh, yes.
So you had the full like chills and then fever.
But I didn't wake up with it. It just all of a sudden just like,
wow, like a wave.
Right, exactly. It was like just waves and waves of symptoms, just all of a sudden like pow, pow, pow.
Wow.
And then I put my pajamas on and I was shaking. I got in the bed, I just pulled the covers over me. So in the blaze,
it was like 100 degrees that Saturday.
Exactly. And I was freezing, but I put pajamas on and I put the blanket over me and I just slept and slept and slept. I got up, I drank water, I slept. I crawled across my bed to the other.
Oh my gosh.
The nebulizer, because I was like, must do.
Oh my gosh.
And I did, like, I just like slumped and I was like on one elbow, like doing
oh. Oh.
So that was Saturday. So then Sunday,
that was all day Saturday.
That was all day Saturday.
Did you sleep through the night or did you have to get up like multiple times?
I slept through the night too. Nope.
Wow.
I just slept and slept. The only time I got up was to use the bathroom, to drink water. That was it. And then and I forced myself to drink the water because I didn't eat anything that day. I ate absolutely nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. Because I didn't have an appetite, and B,
right.
Like, that's the last thing you want to do when you're that sick is you want your body focused on healing. You don't want it focused on digestion. You want it focused strictly on healing. And so that was Saturday. Sunday, I was fine. But then I started sucking on these stupid Ricolas because I was like, oh, I've got to get my voice back. And I'm sucking on these Ricolas, and my daughter's, of course, enjoying them too because they're tasty little treats.
Oh, she likes those. Okay.
Oh my God. Any little sweetie, she's all over it. But I hide them from her because I'm like, this is not candy. This is medicine. And she's like, oh, but it tastes so good. So in any event, so my fever had broken Sunday, but thanks to all those stupid little Ricolas, I had a fever again on Monday. And I didn't get—
Oh, wait. You think the Ricolas did it to you?
Probably
okay.
Having the sweetener.
Oh, the sugar? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's aspartame, but and it's something your body still has to process. And I had a lot of it. And so I woke up Monday and I had a fever again, but this time it was just 100. And then after that, I was, I just continued doing the same thing. Nebulize, sleep, water, nebulize, sleep, water. I think I didn't put food in my stomach again until maybe Tuesday.
Wow.
And I had some butternut squash soup. And if you're familiar with the butternut squash soup from So Good,
I think I've had that.
Yeah, it's very tasty. It's very tasty. I put a little salt in it, and that was all I had. Oh, and I had veggie juice. I forgot about veggie juice. I had veggie juice every day. That was my only nourishment, veggie juice. And
so did you did you have it made, or was it like from powder that you like?
Oh, powder, get out of town.
I don't know.
I would never.
How dare you?
Like a V8 or something. This was from the what's the name of that shop, Blue? What's they make like salads and fresh juices and smoothies. Not their name, but like what was that kind of shop called? The health food shop.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had them made. Yeah, I didn't have
freshly made.
I have a juice machine and I have vegetables, and
but you couldn't get out of bed. You were so ill, right?
No, exactly. So I had them delivered, and I drank. That was all I had. Every morning I had a veggie juice and nothing else.
Okay.
And water, but that's it. No calories otherwise. And by, I would say, Wednesday, I was able to speak softly.
Oof.
And I'm back today. I mean, you can still hear a little bit of a nasal in my voice, but can you hear
a little bit?
But other than that, I'm symptom free.
Is that one of the famous symptoms for BA.5?
What?
We know the loss of voice.
Yes. And it was so funny because I had just read that like maybe 2 days prior. And that was why I took extra care to make sure to swish around that evening before I went, because it was small. It was like just a scratch. Right. It wasn't like a sore throat. And I was like, you know what, let me jump on this because I just read that the BA.5 is, and sure enough, and let me tell you the cruel thing about it. I had no sugar last week. No sugar, no ice cream, no cookies, no candy, no cheap treats to say like, oh, I put myself.
You ate clean.
Very clean. But I did go, I wore my mask, but I did go to a conference the week prior, and I took my mask off only to speak to the room, not to mingle, not to, only to speak to the room. That is how powerful.
That's all it took.
That's all it took for the BA.5 to get me. And it would not have gotten me had I had my second booster. But we're not going to talk about the Biden administration because no one's allowed to talk about the failings of the Biden administration. Okay. Except for Eric Topol. But we'll get to that later. I enjoyed that reading. So that was what happened to me. Thanks to my regimen. And, and it's so funny because like on Tuesday, like I said, I had that meeting. And then I was reading some news later on that day, and I was reading that people were dying. And I was just like, oh my God, I survived this again. Like you were saying, like, oh my God, I can't believe you have it again. And I'm thinking to myself,
I was thinking for somebody that is so vigilant and healthy and takes such good care, that's how beastly that thing is.
That's how, exactly. But then, I kept thinking, my God, I survived this again. This thing is killing people again. And I survived again. Like that's nothing short of a miracle. And I mean, I have to give props to where props is due. The Holy Father, man, like for real, I don't know who are out there, but I believe in God, and God is good all the time. Let me tell you. It's incredible. But I'm very unhappy that, people my age have to tough it out and have to suffer because we're not allowed, because the government is like, oh, you'll be fine. That's not fair. That's not fair. What do you guys think about that?
Well, all I know is that I went out to 3 stores today, and I was the only one wearing a mask. I mean, there was a couple people wearing the mask in one of them, but I couldn't believe it. And here you are, somebody who's so vigilant, and if you got it, good Lord. And that's
the other thing I was thinking too. Someone as healthy as myself got it. What hope is there but also I had the luxury to be able to sleep it off.
Yes.
And I was just thinking about people who have to work every day for their living.
Right.
And don't have that luxury. Maybe they've got like a house full of children. Maybe they've got no help. I mean, look.
You were able to like sweat it out and
Exactly.
sleep, which was so necessary.
Exactly. And I just wonder about people who don't have that convenience that can do that. And what do they do? What do they do?
But are people not taking this? They're clearly not taking this thing seriously. They've
I don't
like
think so.
everybody's got fatigue.
No,
I was
when
just
went
in
to
like
that
a
place,
huge
5 of us
store.
wearing masks, maybe 4 or 5 of us. Everyone, no one else in the room wore a mask. No one even bothered to wear a mask.
I've stopped wearing. I mean, it's not smart. It's just that
if you go in a supermarket, do you wear one? Like I was in this morning in a supermarket, and there were almost nobody was wearing a mask. Just me.
It depends. If I remember, I'll wear it. If I don't.
Oh my God, you go to the supermarket? I can't believe you go to the supermarket without a mask on. That's bananas.
Well, I'll tell you, even more frightening, just changing the subject a little bit. I heard from a.
But you were also recently second boosted. Yeah.
Well, yeah, not recently, but 6 months ago.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I took it Halloween. It was actually long.
No.
Wait, that was first booster or second booster?
Your second
My
booster.
second booster was Halloween.
No,
what?
That's not correct. That's your first booster. Your second booster was recently. It was like less than 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't get my first booster till December.
Right. You might be right. My first booster was Halloween.
Right.
Then my second booster was like May or something.
And I remember that because your first booster and my only booster were about like a week apart or something like that. Like the second I got it, you were like immediately like, I'm getting it. And you got it. That was your first booster. Your second booster though, you had that recently.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
So you can be bold and brazen and.
So what's the deal with the second booster? Is it supposed to give us some protection against the BA.5?
Forget about your second booster. They just said, unless you're over 50, forget about it. But but here's the thing. I wouldn't do it right now. I mean, I'm not a doctor, and I am going to give out some advice. So that's why I'm talking. The new vaccine. Wow. When I quote a doctor, I can sound officious. But the new vaccine has that they're going to roll out in September has the BA.5, whatever immunity to it. So
wait, when are they rolling this one out?
September something.
Oh,
right.
That's gonna have the BA.5.
So yeah, it's gonna have the new batch of stuff.
Too late for me.
I know. I was gonna say.
Well, no, it'll be perfect timing because whatever immunity you build up from this will start to wane. Blah blah blah. Even though BA.5, they say you can get it again. I don't know. Once we get into the science a little bit, we'll hear all the horrors about it. But being that vaccine that they're going to roll out in a few weeks is the new batch, let's say, with all the new stuff, I would hold out for that one and just take that in about 3 or 4 weeks. But keep your eyes peeled.
We're not supposed to get the vaccine while we're COVID positive. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm actually looking it up right now.
Well,
I know I'm not supposed to be doing that.
By the way, immune compromised people are not being put onto the gets. Have you heard of Evusheld?
I have not heard of Evusheld.
So Evusheld is this drug that they're recommending that if you're immune compromised, you take to protect you against COVID-19.
Well, there's a lot of people out there. How come I've never heard of this?
Exactly. Why aren't people being told about this? So I was looking at this on Stat News, and this young woman, she's 23 years old. She's a cancer survivor, so that automatically makes her immune compromised.
Okay.
She was doing a Google search, and she found out about it that way. And her doctor didn't even know. Why don't doctors know?
Oh boy.
That's pretty outrageous. The doctor's like literally looking it up in her office like, oh, I never heard about this.
I've never heard about it until you mentioned it.
It's authorized by the Food and Drug Administration, but only like maybe 7 million patients might be eligible to receive it. But I don't think 700 people even know about it.
Wow.
Yeah. So this administration has done a crap job of keeping us safe. You know, did you take a look at the Eric Topol, "It's the virus, stupid," his post? He was saying that for every one person that died during the Trump administration, and that was with no vaccine and no therapeutics, 2 people are dying during the Biden administration.
What?
I'm going to repeat that. For every one person that died during the Trump administration, and that was when we had no vaccine and no therapeutics, there are 2 people who are dying of COVID during the Biden administration with all that we have to offer. Now, what is it that you said that he said? What was it, something about him not being fit to lead or something like that?
Oh, he said, anyone who's had 200 deaths under their thing is not fit to lead.
So let's double that, since his is
a
2 for 1.
It's actually 800,000. That I looked up. It's 800,000 that have died since Trump, but the yearly rate is double. It's 400,000 per year. What we don't see anymore is the COVID counts on TV and the death rates and all that. I think if that was around, I might have worn my mask today at a lot more places than I did.
Is that COVID fatigue?
More people would be. Sorry?
Is that COVID fatigue though? Are people just fatigued of this?
I think out of sight, out of mind. I think it's fatigue.
I think it's all of the above.
Yes.
I'm not going to blame any one person right now. I think it's all of the above. I know I am. But
there's no reason why, when we have so many. Okay, so take the Paxlovid, for example. So now pharmacists are empowered to prescribe Paxlovid if you test.
Oh, is that everywhere, or is that's
nationwide?
So you don't necessarily have to, because I know someone
but you have
who
to
had
test
it, they tested positive and then they went to see their doctor. Like they tested on a Thursday, then they went to see their doctor on the Monday, and then they got the Paxlovid.
No, yeah, I mean, you could do it that way. That doesn't stop you from getting it that way.
But you could he could have gone to like the pharmacist, and
he could have gone to the pharmacy.
At 10 o'clock, I tested positive. I could be at my pharmacist at 11 and tell my pharmacist I just tested positive, and you can get that medication.
That's good.
I couldn't even do that because I wasn't even testing positive. But you know, if you've ever had COVID, you know when you have COVID.
Okay. Yeah, it's distinctive.
Right. It's a very distinct set of symptoms and feelings that is unlike anything you've ever had. And I was very upset that I couldn't even partake of that because I couldn't produce a positive test, which is outrageous. So all the test basically says is that while I'm infected, I'm not infected enough to infect other people.
Okay.
But I don't qualify for Paxlovid. So again, I'm locked out. But then, you know, to further make people jump through hoops, they have to have access. They have to have your HIPAA access, because they have to make sure that your liver enzymes can tolerate, because it's apparently the Paxlovid is pretty toxic. So yeah, they have to make sure that, you know, your liver enzymes are okay. You haven't had any issues in the last, I think, 12 months with your liver enzymes. It's a whole thing. So nothing is ever like really straightforward as they make it sound. And it's all very, very frustrating. And, you know, now we see why people are dying again from this thing.
Yeah. By the way, I did find an answer.
Okay.
So someone with asymptomatic COVID can get vaccinated as soon as their isolation ends.
Oh, okay.
All right. So isolation is like 5 days.
2 months sounds pretty outrageous.
The only time where you do have to wait is if you received either monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma.
Okay.
At that point, you're at 90 days.
Well, that makes sense. You're already full of therapeutics.
Well, and the immune response may not happen with the vaccine. So they
Oh,
just.
wait, the
so
other two things.
Yeah. If
Okay.
it's the anti-clonal,
monoclonal.
Monoclonal okay.
antibodies. Thank you.
Yeah, and the convalescent plasma.
Okay.
Aside from that, if you have no symptoms, you can go right away. If you have symptoms,
that makes more sense.
Once the symptoms subside and you test negative, then go.
Except I can't go because I'm under 50.
Well, right now, like I said, it's 4 weeks away from having one with all the new strains.
Yeah, but they still haven't said that they're going to lift the restriction for people under 50. So that doesn't mean anything for me. It means nothing. I mean, I still can't partake.
I'll be protected.
Yeah. Thank you very much for rubbing it in my face. Thank you.
Just keep me alive. That's all you got to do.
What is the reason for the only 50 and over? Is it
I guess
rationing?
because they figure, I think the ridiculous rationale is that we're healthy enough that we'll be able to withstand it. We can wait, but it's probably more deadly to people over 50.
I think
so it's limited availability, or it's people, it's just the rollout. Like they just figured that.
I think it's an availability and it's a way to ration it.
Okay, it's rationing.
Sending it to other countries, etc.
It's a way to ration.
As you can tell,
it's like the first rollout.
As you can tell, I'm pretty pissed. So
yes,
it's coming through in today's Anyway, I'm very salty about this whole thing.
You're salty. You're a salty dog.
Yes.
Our sponsors are knocking at the door.
All right.
Knock.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Devo, we'll take a break and we'll be right back. And we're back. And so we were talking about how salty I am about this this new
salty
the BA variant that took me out for a few days. And I just wanted to reference, I was talking about Eric Topol's Ground Truth Substack, and he did talk about, he was explaining why this BA.5 is so prevalent right now. And he was just kind of emphasizing that this virus has learned to evade our immune system. So we really need as much protection as we can get. And we're not really getting that right now. So it's the virus. The virus is evading. We've got 3 lines of defense in the immune system. It's evading the first and the second. By the time it gets to the third, it's too late. You're laying in bed with a 103.5, 104 degree temperature. So, I mean, the thing that we really need to do, and it is evading the boosters, it's showing, but the new boosters, as you were talking about, you're saying new boosters, but they're not here fast enough. They're not available fast enough. Is it that Pfizer and the other guys, I'm forgetting their name. Moderna. Are they not making them, or are they just not available? Like
I think we don't want to do the mistake we did the first time, as we were just referencing that, we roll it out as it's being manufactured. We want to make sure that, there's, from what I understand, they want to make sure that there's a lot of supply once they say, hey, come on down and get your stuff. That said, if I hear they're starting to send it overseas and here and there, and our people.
Because I was going to say, with so many anti-vaxxers, how do we not have enough? There should be more than enough for the people that want it.
I think.
Don't you think, Jackie?
Yeah, I'm starting to think that people are just so fatigued. This is really an important topic to bring up, how virulent this one is, and that we need to take it seriously. We can't succumb to fatigue.
And the other thing he was saying that's really important. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's the case. I just feel like we're fatigued.
He was saying, the other thing he was saying in his post was that we really need a nasal or an oral vaccine at this point. Like, a shot is great, but it doesn't, like when I got it, I got a nasal, you can still hear that I have a little bit of a nasally. I got a
Yeah.
nasal cavity infection. And even with all of my gargling and all of that, and with all the precautions, I still got it. That is how powerful. Now I'm a healthy person, blood oxygen saturation of 100%.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was
Physically
possible.
fit. Well, and yet when I was at the doctor's office, they were like, "Hey, that's amazing." But this is, I am a pretty healthy person, and
Absolutely.
for me to come with all my health ways and with all my precautions, and all I did was I took off my mask to give a speech, and it happened
And
to me.
that's all it took.
Biden, with everything that he has, he got it twice. It was like in the space of 1 month, he got it twice, didn't he? Like, yeah,
Something like that. It was back to back.
it was back to back.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, and he's up on a podium somewhere. He's not like amongst the people. He's like, I mean, maybe one of his Secret Service people give. I don't know, but my point is that this is not to be played with, and we really need to start looking at other means of vaccinating that really get to the heart of the problem. And we're not getting to the heart of the problem. And I don't understand why at this stage in the game, we're still playing catch up. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
I don't know.
But people, if you or someone is immune compromised, please ask your doctor about EvuShield. This is not an advertisement. I'm not getting paid to say this. This is something that people should just know about. This is, I'm just saying this because I care. That's all.
All right.
Just please find out about
Also,
it.
if you have COVID or you think you have COVID, just self-isolate.
Self-isolate, and if you can make it to, if you have a pharmacy near you, please try to get yourself some Paxlovid, please. It's not worth suffering through this. It's just not worth it. This can kill you. This is no joke. I mean, I sit here very grateful that I survived yet another bout of this thing, and this one was a pretty serious one for me. But again, I'm a very healthy person, and it happened to me. It felled me, and I, had the means and the opportunity to, to quash it. But most people are not that healthy and not that lucky, and don't have the, the space and the luxury to lay up under their covers and just sleep it off. So please, people, avail yourself if you can to your local pharmacy. You can get Paxlovid. You don't need a doctor's prescription. You just need a pharmacist. Okay. All right. So let's move on to my other virus of ire, monkeypox.
What? Oh,
that's right. Monkeypox. I'm on that one too.
Monkeypox scares me. Woo.
Monkeypox should scare you. Why does it scare you? Let's start with that.
I think because it's so visible and plus we've seen the photos, and it's a pox. It reminds you of something that's like, it feels like the plague, like the traditional plague, like back in the day. It has that vibe about it. There's a physical manifestation on the outside of your body that you could see. That does that scare you too?
No, that's not what scares me about it. What scares me is how easy it is to contract.
What scares me is that you said, by the way, a while back, you were like, mark my words, this thing is not to be trifled with.
That's right.
And you're right.
I did say that a few weeks ago. So we should not mess around with this.
Mark my words.
I don't know why they're not taking this more. Nostradamus is my baby, because I call it. I said it.
Called it.
You reminding me. I don't know why they're not taking this thing more seriously, because it's very serious and so said, so done. Now it's a public health thing, but that's not what I've got to be in my bonnet about. But before I get into that, before I hog the spotlight here, does monkeypox scare you, Lou?
Yes.
Tell me why, please.
At first it started out, you hearing all the media stuff, and I was one of those where I believed that you had to eat bats to get COVID, And I was telling everybody, I ain't no bat. What do I have to worry about COVID? And they kept
It's
saying,
true. He was saying that.
yeah, and ignorant as it may sound.
Yes, I did
And
tell him it was very ignorant.
Yeah,
Wow.
bats, then with this, I said, I'm not going to come into contact with anybody with sores all over their body and all of that. And that was my first statement. Then I started thinking about it. And, I started reading a whole thing where somebody got monkeypox from sitting in a seat on an airline where the person before them had flown with monkeypox and didn't tell anybody because, of course, they don't check for monkeypox at airplanes. So, and seats are not wiped down. Seats are not wiped down with alcohol wipes between flights.
Oh my God.
So they're only wiped down at night, allegedly. So
when no one's on the plane. Thank you.
Oh.
No, I'm talking about, you get on, you know how these flights are, people get off and people get on.
Right.
And it could happen to somebody in the movie theater. It could happen to somebody in the subway rubbing up against you. Now you're wearing.
Oh my God. When you hold the strap the strap hanger or the pole in the middle on the train. Good Lord.
Yeah, and then you start saying and thinking to yourself, I don't really have to come into close contact and give somebody a bro hug that has it. I mean, at the end of the day, there are ways that this thing can get me. And I'm starting to get more and more worried about it as it proliferates because it doesn't. Then they were saying, "Oh, it's so hard to catch," and then all of a sudden it's everywhere. So, this is starting to get to me, and of course, it's exponentially more dangerous. It's not twice as dangerous. If you got 100 people with it, and those people can come into contact with 1,000 people. If you got 1,000 people with it, those people come into contact with 10,000 people. So think of it. This is growing exponentially. This is not growing. This is not doubling. This is cubing and all of that. So I'm scared. I'm worried.
I wonder what the R value is.
Explain R value again.
Oh, like COVID is like R naught or something like that. I don't know enough about how R value works to really jump into it, but I just wonder what the R value of let me look that up. R value of monkeypox.
All right. Do we know how it spreads?
It spreads through close contact.
So direct contact, but also indirect contact, right?
Ooh, the R is 0.85.
Ooh, that doesn't
so
sound
figure
good.
that COVID is R naught, which is R0. So this is R point. Anyway, I'm getting into something I'm like totally nerding out here. So
yeah, statistics.
Just forget I even said that, but I was just what the experts are saying about it. But go ahead, you were speaking, Jackie.
Do we know how it spreads? All right, we know
so it's
indirect contact too, though.
Close contact, not necessarily direct contact.
All right, so if somebody is sleeping on sheets and they have sores, and
absolutely,
if you're handling the sheets after them,
I would venture to say that if you're a hotel worker and your arms are not completely covered and you're not wearing those like long rubber latex gloves, you should be very worried.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know if it's airborne yet?
They think it is airborne.
But it's too soon to tell.
But they don't have enough information right now, but they think it is airborne. But like close contact airborne, like, if you're riding the subway.
Yeah, like I coughed on you airborne.
Or like we're shoulder to shoulder.
If you're standing in an elevator and the doors open and somebody coughs into a crowded elevator, that kind of.
Or how about if somebody's standing next to in a crowded elevator and you touch their skin by mistake? Because you know how some elevators get crowded. Well, not as much today, but some people are really like, I find myself having to tell people to please stay off an elevator because it's already got like the maximum amount.
It's got the number.
Yeah, like like 6 people, let's say, on the average New York City elevator, 6 to 8 people, depending on how big. If it's a hospital, maybe 8 people. And then that's about it, without anyone touching each other, without your handbag touching the other person.
Everybody wearing a mask.
With everyone wearing a mask. That's it. And if I see anyone look eyeballing, trying to squeeze, and I'm like, no, sorry, this car's full. And if people look at me like, who are you? I'm someone who's trying to be safe. Thank you very much. Eyes back in your head. But just a quick question. I know this is like a little random, but does public transportation in New Jersey still have strap hangers? Because I don't think we have strap hangers here in New York anymore.
I have to tell you, I don't know. Well, just, you know, if we take like New Jersey Transit, let's say, and we're going into the city, we, you know, there's seats, but like the bus, I haven't seen any like older buses where they have like, you know, you're hanging by the strap or anything like that.
I
But
know.
there's always that pole.
It's just so random. I'm sorry, but I was just, you said it and I was just like thinking about it. So
But I was on a subway not too long ago and they had
where they
the
had
pole up top.
1,000 people.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, I made a joke. And I said, well, of course, we know that no one here at the stadium has COVID and they all tested negative before they came here. And once I said it, I thought it was a joke, but once I said it, it was like that commercial when E.F. Hutton speaks, there's silence. There's silence for 3 rows around me. Everybody was like, they're looking at everybody. And the second thing is, once the game ended, and the game ended right at the,
excuse me,
it was one of those games that ended the last play of the game, not fortuitously for the Yankees, but anyway, it ended the last play of the game. So first of all, you go down these corridors with thousands of screaming fans.
Oh my gosh.
There. Now I did drive, so
but you didn't wear a mask, did you?
Not at that point, no. But it was suffocating.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. This heat has been pretty oppressive. Yeah.
Plus, wear a mask in staircases. I mean, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
So I did have my mask, but I did not wear it.
Mm-hmm. And also, you should tell people that you have asthma, so you have like a legitimate.
Well, when I went up, I just walked into like where the announcers do the, you know, this is one of those, like, if you look like you belong, they let you in. I just walked into where the announcers walk into the elevators, and they let me right up, and I went right up to my seat.
Excuse me.
You have such swagger.
I'm telling you, it's good to be Lou.
One of those people, I just look like they belong.
It is good to be Lou.
Yeah.
Good to be Lou.
Yeah, but anyway, what I was getting at is on the way back, I took the car, but everybody was going to the number 7 train. That number 7 train was standing room only. People are packing in.
Oh my God, like sardines.
If they had monkeypox, they're getting it right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what brings me to my beef. So my beef is that
you're full of beef this week.
Yeah, I know. I am. Yes, I know. Being laid up with no voice, you know, you get all this.
That was no joke.
No, it wasn't. It was really serious. In any event, so my beef is this: the messaging surrounding monkeypox has to change. You know, my last beef was that they need to take it more seriously. We've got to stop the stigmatizing talk about who is at risk, because when you put out messaging like the LGBTQ community, bisexual men who sleep with men, when you put that messaging out, what that does is it tunes everybody else out that's not part of that group, and they feel like they're not at risk, and everyone is at risk.
But do you think that some people are taking the position that they don't remember like the early AIDS epidemic? Like,
thank you. That's exactly where I was going with this.
Oh, okay.
It was when AIDS, you know, came on the scene, it was the gay plague. You remember they called it the gay plague.
Yes.
And so nobody else felt that they had to engage in careful behavior because, well, I'm not gay. Or even if you didn't think of yourself as gay, but you were a person who slept, you know, with men, and you were what they call down low, and you slept with women, people felt that it didn't apply to them. And it's very exclusionary to use this kind. It's very stigmatizing and it's very exclusionary, and people tune out. Everybody needs to be on high alert about this disease. I was in the Bronx visiting my dad, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was walking along, it was Tremont, East Tremont. Mm-hmm. And I saw this guy, and he was outside. He had, like, you know, on the sleeveless t-shirts on, and it was a hot day, but he was out, and he was scratching, and his arms and his back were covered with sores.
Oh,
and I just knew that man had monkeypox, and he was out there buying like a corn dog or something from this poor woman who had like a little food, one of those little food cart things. I don't know if it was registered with the city or not. I didn't see any registration, but in any event, she was out there, and they say it's okay for her to be out there, and she's out there. And he was patronizing her. And I was like, oh my God, if he touches her and gives her this monkeypox, she's going to become a vector. So she's going to be out, and she's not going to take the day off and say, well, I've got these sores, but I can't work, because this is her bread and butter, right? So she's going to be a vector right out there in that corner. And anyone who buys a corn dog from her is going to get monkeypox.
Oh my God, this poor lady with the corn dog stand.
I'm sure monkeypox. Taking the corn dog from her hand, she's in contact with this monkeypox, and she wasn't wearing gloves, by the way.
You are right. You know, you're right about.
They got to stop this.
You're right about this being like the early 80s, and I'm going to tell you, most people don't remember the early 80s or only have heard about it, and you know, it's been done through anecdotal evidence. But I was there. Mm-hmm. And I was in meetings early on in my medical publishing days. I'm not going to mention what companies or anything. These people are long dead anyway who said this. But there were articles about AIDS, and people were saying in meetings, we're not publishing things about gay men or homosexuals.
Wow.
They just said, this is not what our readers want to read. People are going to write in. And you know what? There was enough crazies at that time. Mm-hmm. That it would have happened. And you also have to realize that the physicians at that time, you know, physicians usually stay around a long time.
Right.
You had a lot of physicians around that time that were born in the 20s and 30s.
Mm. Wow.
You know,
make that the 1920s and 30s.
Yeah.
Yes. That'd be America.
I was a young man. This was early 80s. I wasn't even 30, you know, I wasn't even 30 yet. I was late 20s or late 20s.
He's totally dating himself. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, you all do the math. My boss was a World War II veteran. Just to put it into perspective, World War II veteran. Uh-huh. He was born while Calvin Coolidge was president.
Wow.
Wow.
You know, I mean, that's how far back these things are going.
Right.
And this was a man of science.
Who said that he wasn't going to publish anything?
That he was, and he absolutely was not going to publish.
That's pretty outrageous.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds outrageous today, but back then it was a room full of people who agreed with him, right? And what did you say?
I was part of the board at that time. You know, I was the youngest person in the board. I was the only minority in the board. And you know, if I would have said boo, I would have been out. I would have been out. I would have been so out of there. That it's like in those days they just you were a name on a piece of paper, they crumble you and throw you out. And during the AIDS crisis, I would say for the first 4 or 5 years, it was absolutely ignored. Absolutely ignored. They've done movies about this. They've documented this. You've all seen it. They did, and the band played on. They did Philadelphia. They've done all of these great movies.
Yes.
Document that, you know, that time. And it was an awakening. And we unfortunately have not learned those lessons.
We have not.
That we should have learned.
But I'll tell you, there's this doctor, and he was sidelined by the New York State Department of Health, or is it New York City Department of Health? Well, he wasn't sidelined. He was reassigned because he wants the messaging from the Department of Health to basically be that gay men and bisexual men and men who sleep with men should be the primary targets of No Sex or Slows Down Sex campaign. And they said, no, that's stigmatizing. And he felt that they were being cowardly about the approach. But I agree with that. I absolutely agree, not with them sidelining him because he has his whistleblower rights, but I agree with them saying that, no, this is stigmatizing because this can affect everybody. But I haven't seen where the messaging has been the messaging or the testing or the education has been broaden beyond that group. And this, we're going to end up right back where we started. You see how the cases are already exploding out of control. This is not going to get better, folks. We have got to change this language. Let's not do this again.
Are there any vaccines on the horizon?
There is a vaccine, yes, but there's just not enough of it.
Okay.
And I'm willing to bet that not enough clinicians even know
about it.
A, that this is a problem, or B, that there's a vaccine available.
Okay.
That's another problem. Education around this thing has been really, really lacking. I mean, I'm at a loss. I don't know what else to say, how else to impress this on people. I mean, do you realize that recent cases of monkeypox exposure include a pregnant woman and her baby?
That is so scary. How awful is that? What a torturous pregnancy that must be. Yeah. She must be worried out of her mind.
Also, a 3-year-old got it from his or her caregiver.
Caregiver, right.
And a baby, an under 1-year-old.
Oh.
Also.
Do we have a treatment? What's the treatment?
I don't know that there's any treatment. Just
supportive care.
Just keep the sores, I guess, comfortable. Painkillers, because apparently the sores are so painful that you need some sort of analgesic to treat it. To treat the pain.
So is it the pustules bust out and that's what's contagious, or we don't even really know?
We're not sure. It's droplet. It's the pustules. It's just contagious, and then it has like a long period of where it lives on surfaces, soft surfaces apparently too.
That would explain airplane seats.
It's highly contagious. Highly.
Ugh, now I don't want to go anywhere again.
And that's exactly how everyone should feel. Everyone should feel this way. Should be very worried about this thing. And I'm not doing this to be a fearmonger, but maybe I kind of am, because I want people to be more scared of this thing. This is not just I understand that 98% of the patients that they're seeing, but I think that population they kind of train themselves from the whole HIV thing to get tested.
Well, I thought that was also part of it, was that a lot of like really young people, like really young gay and bisexual people are not remembering that first round of the AIDS crisis. They don't have that kind of memory. And so maybe they're not taking it.
Well, also HIV is still a huge problem in the gay community. And we just don't hear about it because there's so many.
But are people taking for granted even though it's torturous treatments?
And also it's not killing people. It's not
right. Is that what's taking away the fear?
That's taking away a lot of and PrEP, all of the therapeutics, the PrEP, the therapeutics. People are not dropping dead, and around with Kaposi sarcoma and all this other stuff.
Wasting away in front of their eyes.
It doesn't have the same terrible, terrible stigma that it once did. So people are not as frightened as they used to be. But also we've kind of moved on to like all these other viruses. But I got to shout this to the hilltop. We've got to be afraid of this monkeypox thing. We don't know how far reaching this is. Be very afraid, people. Don't think
so happy. What a closing for the show.
Well, yeah. Sorry. It's very
Soylent Green is made of people.
War of the Worlds.
Oh. What were you saying, Jackie?
What's that?
What were you saying?
I said Soylent Green is made of people. You might not know that movie, right?
Oh yeah, I know it.
Oh, well, I'm not familiar. Sorry. Anyway, I just want you all to remember that you only have one life and one body. And so you've got to do your best to make it count. So your years are full of life and full of health. Information equals transformation. So you got to take small steps each day and you'll see a difference. I am sure of it. So that's all the time we have. And I will see you lovely people next week.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to Urban Health Weekly today. I hope you'll join me and my friends next week so you can stay informed and inspired to take control of your health. See you next time.